One of the things that I have come to realize is that if the universe is always for me, which I believe it is, then really to let things be. It's my reaction to the universe that makes things good or bad, right? And so as a mystic, what Ernest Holmes has said about mysticism, and this is in the Science of Mind textbook on page 419, and the chapter is actually what the mystics have taught. A mystic is one who intuitively perceives truth and, without conscious mental process, arrives at spiritual realization. How many of you have done that in your life? Of course you have. The mystics include the great prophets, the inspired writers, the illumined souls of all ages. All the mystics have recognized the absolute unity of God and man. And so, truly, without frightening you, we're all mystics. We all have mystic potentiality within us because we all live and breathe and are God in form. And so there's a part of our soul, if you have ever read Carolyn Meese's Entering the Castle, she talks about the 7 rooms and how we go there in the different aspects of our life. And yet there is always something that is watching. If you were to close your eyes right now and perceive different aspects of yourself, the mother, the father, the egotist, the person that's afraid of their own shadow, all the different aspects of you, there is something that is perceiving that is beyond definition, that is beyond words. And that is God. That is God within you. That is that higher realm. And that is within each and every one of us. So each and every one of us has the opportunity to be a mystic to the comfort that we choose. In that chapter, Ernest Holmes says, you do not have to be in a monastery to be a mystic. And I believe each one of us, if we look at our life, has had mystical experiences. So how many of you know about Saint Teresa of Avila from Spain? So did you realize when she entered the church, she did it for 2 reasons. Neither one was because she was called to be a nun. She did it because she thought it was a better option than being married. This was during the Spanish Inquisition, so I guess ladies didn't have a choice. She thought she was safer inside a monastery. The second one is she had a very good friend that went in, and she thought, I'll go because she went. That's my best friend. I want to be with my buddy. That's why she went in. She was in her 20s. And at that time, you could go in and you could have visitors all the time. So she got to hear all the gossip, all the latest fashions, what was happening in the world, and she was safe. And so she loved it. And she lived more human than nun for the first 20 years of her life in that monastery. And then at 40, and it even said that she found prayers boring. Meditation was not her thing. And yet now she is a world famous mystic because at the age of 40, she decided to really listen when she was in meditation. She decided to really believe when she prayed. And her soul answered. And she became a mystic that wrote a book that Carolyn Meese's book is based on. It's how it's what she based her book on. She just updated what St. Teresa said. And so I want to share with you some other mystical experiences that other people have had, because this week I want you to really look at your life, at all of the things that you either take for granted or you think, wow, that was a stroke of luck. To look at it as the divine always being for you. Always being for you. So I had a friend who was at a Sillamar, a colleague, not a friend. I actually don't know this person. She shared this on the ministerial listserv so we could use it if we chose. And she was at a Sillamar. If you don't know where that's at, it's in Northern California. We used to have a retreat there once a year. And now they're actually moving the retreat all over the country. And it's on the Pacific Ocean. It's a beautiful spot. And she was there for a meditation retreat. So basically, meditating for 5 days straight was what they did, except when they took lunch breaks and dinner. But it was a silent retreat. And so she's sitting on the deck of the hotel, looking out at the ocean and journaling. And she starts to notice things around her. All of the trees, and they have some magnificent trees at Sillamar. And she's looking out in the meadow, and she's noticing that the place is full of caterpillars everywhere. On the deck in front of her, caterpillars just moving along as caterpillars do. And so she's watching this, and it's time now. She hears the bell. It's time to go eat. And as she stands up, she hears a voice that says, "Watch where you walk. You don't want to step on your head." It took me a minute when I read that. I was like, huh? And then I realized the divine was telling her, we're all one. Not just person to person. That those caterpillars are part of the divine. And that she should watch where she walks so she doesn't step on a caterpillar. Because that would be stepping on her head. Right? It gives me goosebumps when I think of that. Because we take, I think, I'll rephrase that. I take my environment a lot of the time for granted. How many of you do that? Karen Williams taught me this time around that I've moved back to the Pacific Northwest because I grew up here. And so I love the mountains, I love the scenery, and at my age, been there, done that. You know, you see it, yeah, it's beautiful. I saw it yesterday. And so I would get kind of complacent. And so now, every time I see Mount Rainier, I scream out like I'm 3 years old, "Oh my God, look at the mountain." Because it reminds me of the magnificence of the divine. That mountain is incredible. And it's close. And if you think about it, it might be a little bit dangerous. It is an active volcano. And yet just to sit in the magnificence of seeing it. Or if you look on a sunny day and you can see the Olympics, how magnificent that is. It's to take time. We move so fast, or we are so involved with our cell phones. Not a word. We are so involved with our cell phones. I get scolded a lot by my husband because I, as many of you know, if my cell phone is with me, I am checking it. And I have shared this before. If it's not with me, I am fine most of the time. But it's a habit, right? It's a habit. Wouldn't it be nice if we made a habit out of just looking at a tree or a flower with the same intensity, with the same anticipation that we look to find out if our dang message light is lit up on our cell phone, or how many emails have come in since the last 5 minutes I checked. That sometimes is my reality, right? And so that separates me from myself, and it separates me from the natural beauty of everything that is already around me. I just forget. And I think that I'm not alone in forgetting. And when we forget, then we're separate from. And if we forget and we're separate from, then we can become critical of other people. We can become judgmental. We can become self-righteous because they're different than me. I haven't taken time to really notice the similarities, because what strikes out at each one of us, because we are all unique, is not how much we look alike. We notice how we're different. That is what our mind automatically goes to, because our mind is always dealing with fight or flight. Am I safe or am I not safe? And if we are constantly in that state, then we're constantly in a mode of worry. And what if we just embraced the fact that the universe is always for us? It's never against us. The other story that I wanted to share was another colleague that shared this, and I loved how when he shared it from his heart of hearts, some people, that's not a mystical experience. And I thought, it is if he says it so. And I do believe that. You get to decide if it's a mystic experience. So he is a minister in Southern California, and he was notified on a Sunday morning that he and his wife needed to get to the hospital right away because her brother had been admitted to the hospital and he was brain dead for no apparent reason. Now I want you to imagine if that happened, the turmoil not only for him and his wife in trying to get to the hospital and be safe, and the worry and the just fear, overwhelming fear. And then imagine the community itself, how it would react, like, oh my goodness, is everybody going to be okay? And what the assistant minister did was brilliant. He called the entire community into prayer. And at the time he called the entire community into prayer, this young man had brain activity. 3 days later, he walked out of the hospital as if nothing had happened. Now, to me, that is a mystical experience. It's a group mystical experience. It is still a mystical experience. It is also a demonstration of the power of prayer, because mystics live in faith, not in fear. And that, in today's world, I think if you can live in faith and not in fear most of the day, I would bless you as a mystic. Because it's not easy, is it? We are pounded with news that tells us it's not safe. How many of you have heard people say, I will not go to downtown Seattle. It's not safe down there. Right? And then we have a shooting, and we're thinking, and so it's not safe down there. And yet, if we believe that we create our reality, how many people are thinking that downtown Seattle is not safe? Right? The universe is always saying yes to the predominant thoughts of the masses. And it takes less people thinking positive to tip that scale. And so it's just to know your thoughts are powerful. They are powerful. And they direct your life. And so to look around you at your life and decide, yeah, I'm good. Or, I'd really like to clean up this part of my life. Or, I'd like to take this part of my life deeper. You are writing the play of your life always. This is your reality. And so how do you show up in it? How many times do you say, I'm so tired? Right? I have a couple friends that's what they say all the time. And I jokingly said to them, you realize that's what you say all the time. And their response, they did not miss a beat. Their response was, because we are. And I thought, okay. Keep claiming that, and that is your reality. My sister-in-law yesterday, because she is not of this faith, she is a Christian person, and she said, why do you think some people just know, or they always have, they're resilient? That was the word she used. Why do you think some people are so resilient? And other people, it's like they have a dust storm around them all the time. And I looked at her and I said, well, what we teach where I am is that you're resilient because you believe you're resilient. You have absolute faith that everything is going to be okay. And people that are constantly caught in the drama of life, do you know people like that? Constantly in the drama of life. Love them anyway, and they claim their drama, don't they? If you ask them how they are, they start with what's wrong, right? And so just to recognize that with love, to hold them in your heart instead of making them wrong. I was sitting there thinking about Mike Kuntz and what a gift he was in my life and what he taught me because he's no longer here. And I say that because I looked back and thought, you could have done better. Talking to myself, I could have done better. And I think that's when I claim this new sense of being for this year. Instead of having a word, how many of you do a word? Like, my word this year is creativity, or my word this year. And my thing this year is the universe is always for you. No matter what is going on, to remind myself, the universe is always for you. Why did you call that into your life? What is it that you are supposed to grow from that experience? How is that enhancing your life? And what I realized, what Mike was always there to teach me, was be kinder. Be less judgmental. Know and see the presence of God in everybody. Not just those people that you are close to or have friendships with, everybody. And so that's how I am entering this year in this new decade. Maybe not as a mystic, maybe just as a better person. But it's taking that deep dive into really living this philosophy that I am constantly creating my reality. So each and every one of you here, I have called into my life because you are teaching me something. I don't know why you're here. You get to decide that. For me, it's recognizing the gift that each one of you brings to my life. Sometimes they are gifts of, oh, I am so glad that person is in my life. And sometimes it's like, oh, I am so glad that person is in my life. Because everything that I experience is about my spiritual growth. Everything. That's the gift to give yourself this year. Everything is for your spiritual growth. And so I'm going to close. I usually close with a prayer, and this time I am going to close with a poem that was written by Ernest Holmes. So I invite you, if you choose, you can close your eyes. And it's called The Song of the Creator. From sorrow, pain, disaster, this truth alone can set a person free. The self-knowing, known, and knower are ever one with changeless me. It is I, the truth incarnate, light of everlasting day, who's supreme in every soul. To each the life, the truth, the way. Those who see me as the all, uncaught by separate desire, find light and flame of single life is lit by one eternal fire. All signs are holy things to me, when faith and love with them conspire to bring each seeker of the way to light of my celestial fire. All paths of worship lead to me. All shrines to me alone belong. The hymns of praise through all the ages are parts of my celestial song. I am the beginning and the end. All that is one vast whole. I am the Father and the Son. I am spirit, body, mind, and soul. Nature clothes my many forms in plant and tree, in air and stone, in iron wood, in bird and beast, in sower and the sown. Smaller than the smallest atom, larger than the greatest sea, the moving force in each and all, the pageant and the pageantry. I am the source, the cause, the all. Darkness of earth, light of star, radiance of the sun and moon. I am here, there, close, and far. All beings have their root in me. My soul, their primal cause of all. The flowering of the seed of life, eternal spring, eternal fall. I am the seed, the root, the branch, the earth, the moon, the sun, the air. I am present, past, and future. I am here, I am there, I am everywhere. Though formless is my hidden life, I am form of what is made. I am the way, the truth, the life, substance, shadow, light, and shade. I, the eternal Word made flesh, am both namer and the name, the creator and what's created, the fire, the ashes, and the flame. Splendor of light supernal, knower and known, wisdom of wise, giver, receiver, and keeper, heaven, hell, doom, and paradise. Flame of uncaught cause in heaven, seed of what is born on earth. Action, reaction, time, and timeless, infant aged, death, and birth. Hidden within all forms evolved, in silence beauty, wisdom will, is that which makes the cycle move, unmoved, immovable, and still. Namaste.